there's been a kind of a seismic shift in the venture capital world. We saw a changing of the guard at Sequoia, with Roelof Botha stepping back from his role as kind of chief steward of that firm, handed off the reins to Alfred and Pat Grady, two well-known names. But I got to say, guys, I'm a little bit shocked. I did not see this coming, heard no rumors, no rumbles, no premonitions. So first, I'm kind of curious, who knew? And if you didn't know, are you surprised by this? Let's start with Jason, who's already laughing.
Well, I'm good friends with Roelof for a long time. He brought me into the venture business. He created the Scouts program at Sequoia. I was the first person he asked to do it with the Sequoia Scouts. He was on the board of my company. He invested in Mahalo back in the day, 15 years ago. And I've known him all this time, one of the great venture capitalists, somebody I learned a ton from. And I didn't know, but I did know that the firm had some spiciness going on with Shaun Maguire being very public about his feelings about the conflicts in the Middle East, et cetera. I'm not sure if that contributed to it. I'm just catching up here on the other side of the planet, and saw the Wall Street Journal say that maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know, but they have a great tradition at Sequoia with these stewards. Obviously, Don Valentine started the firm, and then he had Michael Moritz Taglioni, two legends as well. And they gave it over to Roelof and Alfred, and now Alfred and another partner are going to run it. So, best of luck to Roelof. He had one of the great runs in the history of venture capital. And that's a pretty intense thing to do, to run Sequoia, the literally most legendary and successful venture capital firm in the history of venture capital. So I wish him a lot of luck. Yeah.
Deedy, you work at a firm that has a number of partners and kind of a generational history. It's been around for a minute. Looking at the headlines Sequoia's gone through, had to kind of divest his China-India funds. There was the FTX mess, the Shaun Maguire stuff that Jason mentioned. There was the Klarna board seat scrap. To me, that didn't seem like enough in aggregate to force a change at a firm with the stature of Sequoia. So I'm just kind of curious if you expected this, and if not, what might have happened?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I mean, the few times I've met with Roelof, I think he's a fantastic guy, and I think everybody on the Sequoia team that I've interacted with has been quite fantastic. Look, when you're a firm like Sequoia, you're gonna get scrutiny. I mean, you're historically the number one venture firm, and so whenever something like this happens, I'm not surprised that so much scrutiny is drawn to that firm. But look, I'm excited for Alfred and Pat, and they're both great guys, and I'm excited for them to take the helm of stewardship at Sequoia.
Well, the interesting thing was I just saw Roelof a few weeks ago at the Stanford Business School Centennial celebration. And, Roelof played a big role in organizing some of the really interesting alumni panels. He talked about the stewardship. And it's always been something that I think many of us in the venture industry has admired Sequoia Capital for, having that stewardship pass where you hand over the reins to the next generation before you get too stale and too crusty. And I think that's frankly been one of the reasons that they've, really been able to ascend to the top of the hill. I remember when I started in the industry 20 plus years ago, there was Sequoia, but there was also Klarna and a few other firms. And I think it's kind of undisputed where Sequoia is in terms of the hierarchy today. The great thing about this is the stewardship. Part of what I had heard, because I was on a board together with Jim Getz, who was the prior steward at Sequoia. He actually told me something really interesting. He purposely tried to stay in the background and show up less at the office sometimes to make sure the leadership was handed over properly, so that people would not be looking around for him asking questions, but they would actually make sure to ask the new leaders and the stewards to actually make those right decisions. So maybe Roelof is in that mode as well.
You've heard me talk so much on the pod about the importance of renewable energy. That's why I'm so excited to talk to you about Crusoe today. Most AI infrastructure is still powered by fossil fuels, but Crusoe has an innovative energy-first approach. They've actually built a high-performance AI cloud platform that's powered by wind, hydro, and geothermal energy. In Iceland, right now, they're using 100% geothermal and hydroelectric power to deploy the latest NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs on Crusoe Cloud. This is the future, folks, and it's here earlier today. That's how Crusoe is making energy and compute easier to access than ever before. So spend less time worrying about infrastructure and more time building. Visit Crusoe.ai/startup to apply for $100,000 in credits for virtualized NVIDIA GB200 NVL72 on Crusoe Cloud, pending availability. That's CRUSOE.ai/startup to apply for your $100,000 in credit.